to the People's Labour Party's monthly press conference for today, the 11th of November 2025. Of course, today is a significant day for the global community, bearing in mind that in some jurisdictions it's considered Armistice Day or a day of remembrance for the United Kingdom and former British possessions such as St. Kitts and Nevis, because it signaled the 11th hour end to World War I. So as we proceed through this week, we again encourage all of us to make sure that we remember all those who would have given their lives for the cost of freedom, especially in the two great wars. This afternoon's press conference is being brought to you from a different location, this time from the CUNA conference room at Fort Lance, but nonetheless, it is intended to be informative, to share the party's positions on matters of national interest, and at the same time to be the voice of the voiceless for the countless number of individuals who continue to struggle for a decent existence under the Drew-led administration in St. Kitts and Nevis. Now, as I pondered today's press conference, and I began looking at some of the issues that we are being confronted with as a country when it comes to the economy, when it comes to essential social services, people who are living at or below the poverty line, etc. The fact that jobs are scarce, we have a number of persons who are barely eking out an existence. We also have a situation where our poverty alleviation program had been bastardized to the point where it has been stripped away from what it was at $500, with the promise right at the polls of $1,500, and now if you're lucky you can get $200, $250. And as I looked at all of this, my mind went to the movie Groundhog Day. I don't remember how many of you remember that 1993 movie, Groundhog Day, which had as its star Bill Murray, as well as Andy McDowell, female actress. And it speaks about a weatherman who had to travel out to Pennsylvania to look to see what Phil, this groundhog, was going to do when he came out of hibernation. Because the tradition is that when the groundhog comes out of hibernation, if he could see his shadow, there will be 6 more weeks of winter. But then if he couldn't see his shadow, then spring will come a lot sooner. And of course, this is normally held the early parts of February. But this guy, actor Bill Murray, his character as the weatherman, realized that as he journeyed to this place in Pennsylvania, he recognized that every day he was waking up in Groundhog Day. He couldn't get out of it, so it's like a cycle kept repeating itself, and no matter what he did, this went on for days and days and days. The movie doesn't say how long, but it went on for almost forever. But that's how it feels in St. Kitts and Nevis for persons who are facing hardships. It's like we're living in Groundhog Day. So nevertheless, we continue to press on, and we recognize that as we do so, our country is crying out for leadership on the top level of government, and also to a lesser extent at the community level, because we are hoping that we would have had more advocacy coming from our community groups, our social partners, who could be making their voices heard, using, as they say, their outside voice, to let people understand that the norm that has come to, the bad that has become our norm, need not be the future that we should be relegated to settle for. And we recognize at the same time that as we go through these months leading into a new electoral season, which if I was the Labour Party, I believe they started already because they're now in their 4th year. And of course, it's a 4th year with a very bad record, a very dismal record of delivery. So it has become a point of desperation now in terms of trying to push out projects that you could tick off your list to indicate that, look, I'm doing this for you, I'm doing that for you, when that is not the case. And trying out little bones here and there to say, look, I'm seeing to it that you get a house when you promise 600 in year 1, till you get up to 2,400 after 4 years in office. And I don't even think we've had 20 yet since the 5th of August, 2022. Now, we are also keeping this press conference again, 14 months after the horrific murder of Azziwa Niles Jones. I see Mama Joyce is in the house, so I'm bigging her up. And it was just on Sunday, as we were remembering those who gave their lives in the First and Second World War, we were also remembering Aziwo, because Sunday would have been his birthday. And while he continues to rest in the peace of God, we are asking for the ability of rest and closure for his family, who are still waiting to hear from law enforcement as to the circumstances leading to his gunning down, which was unwarranted. So we continue to pray for the family, and we continue to seek justice for him and for all others who have fallen in this country because of violence. We also continue, since our last press conference, to have the national conversation dwell on issues to do with the special sustainable zone, and that is going to continue for some time because of the horrific piece of legislation that was passed without consultation. We are also recognizing in this country that we continue to be faced by challenges in our health sector. It was bad enough that we have pharmacies being closed at Pogson and Mary Child's, stock out of certain drugs, issues of avoidable deaths and illnesses and infection rates at JNF in particular. We already lost Dr. Cameron Wilkerson, first-class surgeon, last year. We have now lost, or about to lose, Dr. Bishara Saheli, our primary internist, who is leaving the system. And that is going to be a big loss. I understand he's also leaving the Federation. So that, again, those losses are other countries' gains, but we are the ones feeling the pinch from it. We are also trying to get answers in terms of all of the other things the Minister of Health has promised. Minister of Health, who I unfortunately have to wonder about his dedication, given his primary academic and professional training as a medical doctor, while the health sector goes in want. We are waiting for the renal center. We are waiting for the MRI. The last we heard is that a final payment had been paid and that the source out of Amsterdam where this equipment was being procured is still waiting and waiting and waiting. And as to say in the Duolingo, that is on the way. So we are waiting for these things as well. At the same time, we recognize that we are practically like a month and just about a week and a half, plus on top of a month in terms of Christmas. And we are wondering what kind of Christmas some of us are going to have. And we do that not only because of the fact that our own economy is flatlined, but also because of the economies in jurisdictions where our citizens live in the diaspora, like the U.S. economy. And we hear about the shutdown in government over there, even though they're trying to have an interim stopgap measure that would only last us into the new year. But a lot of those persons who are affected are our citizens, our relatives, our friends, who are accustomed to be sending barrels home for Christmas. Well, if you don't have a job and you're standing in the line and you can't get a SNAP benefit or whatever is the case, I don't see what they could put in the barrel to send for you, other than wind and some packing material. Right, so what the cost of shipping the barrel might be more expensive than what is in the barrel. So these are things that we have to bear in mind as time goes by. We are also recognizing that we are holding this press conference at a time when we are still very much in the throes of the hurricane season. Again, we send out our sympathies to countries that have suffered major losses as a result of hurricanes, especially Jamaica in the wake of Hurricane Melissa. Cuba, our other friendly government with whom we have had relations for so long, they also suffered from it. Haiti has suffered, the DR has suffered. And I don't want us to forget our Filipino residents here, the medical personnel at JNF, because their own country, the Philippines, has been going through the effects of a super typhoon, I think is Fenghuang, which is now en route to Taiwan, where we have our own citizens living. I understand in the case of the Philippines, at least 8 persons were dead already, hundreds missing, and of course over 1,400 people had to be displaced because in the wake of the storm, there is now the issue of flooding. So we keep those individuals in our prayers, especially the Filipinos who are here, because the irony of the situation is that they're here helping us with our health care when their hearts and minds are with their own relatives back in the Philippines. So we know that that cannot be easy for them. Before I take my seat and invite Mr. Calvin Pemberton to speak with us for a few moments on what's going on in Constituency 1, I also wanted to take this moment to extend condolences from the party to persons who would have lost loved ones within the past 30 days. Our sincere condolences to you. May your loved ones' souls rest in peace. And I also wish us to take a moment to remember Barrington Brown. Dr. Barry Brown is a Jamaican who had made St. Kitts and Nevis his home since the late 80s, early 90s. And he would have come here to do a number of Caribbean projects with us relative to culture, relative to customer service, service excellence training, to help us to develop our tourism industry, especially after the Simmons administration would have invested in the first cruise pier, knowing that we were now attracting a new caliber of tourism into the country other than stay over. I had the pleasure of working with him for many years at the Chamber of Commerce as we partnered in training programs, and I know that he brought a lot to St. Kitts and Nevis, to both the public sector and the private sector in terms of training delivery. And from my experience with him, he was a first-class facilitator, well-trained, humble as you could get. And of course, there's a history between him and the pumpkin, which we will have to discuss at another occasion. But the pumpkin, as we know it, that artistic rendering that was at the C.A. Paul Southwell Industrial Site that found its way down to Newton Ground, Dr. Brown was involved in that too, for it getting here in St. Kitts and Nevis. So without further ado, I would like to call Mr. Calvin Pemberton to share his remarks with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. You have captured the issues of the day in quite a concise manner. An appetizer, if you may, for further deliberation. A pleasant good afternoon to all. Good afternoon. Thanks for coming, and it's good to be here. I stand here before you today in support of the People's Labour Party expressed position relating to two troubling proposed building developments. Firstly, the Special Sustainability Zone, Destiny. I begin by saying that the PLP is not in support of the implementation of the SSZ Act in its current form. More specifically, PLP demands that the SSZ Act be revoked and reconsidered. PLP demand that this project proposal must go through established procedures and must satisfy requirements for approval. We have been experiencing for the past 6+ weeks is a monumental betrayal of trust and good government. The Jew Cabinet of Ministers and their accomplices have passed into law the Special Sustainability Zone Authorization Act 2025. This act authorizes and empowered, very strong language, authorizes and empowers the Prime Minister with approval of Cabinet and, if necessary, the Nevis Island Administration to enter into development agreements for the establishment of Special Sustainability Zone on real property within St. Christopher and Nevis, and to provide for related or incidental matters. The developer calls it Destiny. They claim that Destiny represents a visionary leap towards a new era of prosperity, sustainability, and inclusion for the Federation. But we must ask, at what cost to the people of this country can the damage done, showered upon us, ever be corrected? Imagine the Jew Cabinet of Ministers who we have employed to serve us all appeared to be serving themselves. Their actions and lack of actions are, by nature, offensive, disgraceful, disrespectful, and a troubling reality. The troubling reality we are talking about is the lack of transparency and consultation. Those omissions underscores the importance and magnitude of the backward state of our country. Dr. Jew and his government have betrayed the trust the public have put in them. They have undermined the hard work of our predecessors have accomplished. Instead of working to preserve our heritage, we are left to experience the reckoning to our country under Dr. Jew. The Jew government has sold out the country. It would appear that they rather facilitate foreign agendas which are not consistent with our traditions and processes. In short, the developer and government have promised everything, nice and dandy, wonderful things to happen. And then the Prime Minister and the Premier comes to the public, and all of a sudden, nobody knows anything. Dr. Jew say he has nothing to do with SSZ destiny or Nevis. But at last, the Premier has now found it expedient to justify his steadfast and unequivocal support for the Destiny SSZ development project in the context of, and he said in an open letter, our beloved Nevis finds itself now at a critical crossroads of development. The question is, why? Why have we found ourselves at this crossroad? And who is responsible for it? PLP suggests that Premier Brantley administration, Prime Minister Jew government are to be blamed, and they must take responsibility, and the people will hold them responsible. Nonetheless, Premier Brantley asks the good people of Nevis to step boldly in a new future, to embrace ideas which are transformative. But before he penned his letter, it is reported that the good people of Nevis, when asked, responded with a resounding no, no. As a result of the misinformation in relation to input and collaboration, the St. Kitts and Nevis Bar Association had to let the country know that at no time has the bar been provided with a copy of the Special Sustainability Zone Authorization Bill 2025 for review and document. This is what continued to deal with. Announced projects after projects, issue after issue. Secondly, Fort Thomas development. A common theme has been developed by the Jew government as seen with the Fort Thomas Hotel site. Its grounds and structures and relics have not been spared the ravages of Prime Minister Jew government. The facilities have been dug up, broken down, defaced, displaced, and reconfigured without input from stakeholders. Our heritage is to be replaced by something that represents us. This denigration of our once undisturbed heritage site has forced the St. Christopher National Trust to express its disgust at the lack of consultation and breach of protocol and respect for heritage. We have not been told if the historic Fort Thomas Hotel grounds have been sold or leased. We have no idea. When will we be told? Could somebody tell the people of the country? We want to know. However, we are hearing of proposed development called Symbol of Love, Monument and Museum. Imagine for development of such a heritage site, the government has not observed the mandatory input of statutory bodies with responsibility for heritage protection and historic preservation. Dr. Jew has failed to respect historical integrity, community inclusion, and cultural authenticity. What is next? The public demand transparency and possible stewardship as spelled out on the Section 6 of the St. Christopher National Trust Act 2009, which authorized the trust to advise and, where necessary, lobby the government on matters affecting national heritage. This failure and our total disregard for the rule of law reflects the lawless character of the Jew-led government. How long must we suffer under Dr. Jew-led regime? We have suffered more than enough, and we have passed the breaking and tipping point to tranquility. We must bring an end to this experiment. It has failed us badly. With humility, I commit to you that the PLP government will restore trust, practice transparency, demonstrate good governance, produce economic growth, and bring prosperity to a people who crave to maintain its deserved hard-fought sovereignty and embraces precious social justice. Recall, remember, the evidence is clear. Dr. Harris performed admirably and effectively. At the appointed time, will once again enjoy the work of a caring and responsible government. PLP, we welcome all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pemberton, for whetting our appetite on some of the issues that are burning the rank and file of the citizens and residents of this country, and for which more people need to open their mouth. As I said at the start, we need to start using our outside voice. I now call to the podium the Deputy Political Leader of the People's Labour Party, Mr. Damian Lawrence, to bring some remarks.
Testing, we good? Good afternoon and welcome to those listening online. A special good afternoon to those in person for today's experience. Your attendance today is you lending effort to the needed work to save our St. Kitts and Nevis. The choice to participate only validates your commitment to what we're trying to do. We have a reckless government that has torn our country to pieces and made us ashamed. We have to fight back. The Jew-led administration has wasted 3 years in office. Their fourth year is already chalking up to another waste. While citizens struggle to make ends meet, we have a government that doesn't care. We have forecasts that say 2026 will be worse than 2025. Think about that. 2025 was an extremely difficult year for St. Kitts. All age groups are complaining that they've never had it so rough. And we have a government knowing that we're walking into a worse situation, doing nothing about it. For that reason, the cashiers in 2026 will be taking more supplies when you try to cash out. It means the pain you feel in your stomach when the bills arrive will get worse. It means another year of making poor people poorer. It means labor has to go. Not just in words, we have to vote them out. So I said to you today, one must conclude renewable energy is an exercise in deceit. There's no seriousness about the subject. November is CARICOM's Energy Month. A chance, testing. November is CARICOM's Energy Month. And this year's theme is Invest, Innovate, Sustain, Leading the Charge in Renewable Energy Frontiers. As it's custom, the minister made his address, and it was again a glorified nothing to report. Last year, he entered the Energy Month with $114 million in fossil fuel debt. This year, he enters the Energy Month with an agreement for a renewable energy debt burden. He attended the International Solar Alliance in India, where Minister Joshi reiterated India's commitment to supporting small island developing states, like St. Kitts and Nevis, in accessing affordable renewable technologies and technical expertise. Dr. Harris left a solar farm agreement that would have hired 200 persons. The funding costs would have been completely covered by the developer. Congress failed to deliver an option that was free of cost for an option that's affordable. There is nothing more affordable than free. There is nothing more affordable than free. Instead, we have Congress negotiating us into a further debt bomb. While he has made energy more expensive for the common man, big businesses are pardoned for millions of dollars. The regular man must bring X amount of dollars or we're going to cut you. That's the approach. That is the approach of this Labour government, because they don't care that your meat will go bad. They don't care that you can't afford to lose what you've spent on your food and appliances. They don't care that the days and the nights are hot. And Congress does not care that the bills got you going by your breath. That is why we must not care to keep them in the government. Labour has to go. We have a unique set of experts, bright people coming together to make foolish decisions. The McKnight Community Center hosted Ministers Marsha Henderson and Dr. Jeffrey Hanley back in 2003 to discuss the housing revolution. They told us 600 homes per year, 2,400 homes in total, fitted with appliances and solar energy saving options. You come to McKnight to tell us about homes, we're going to listen, because most of us are renters. That's the reality. So even though the prices were ridiculous and brought some to tears, they would have taken the chance because it was their chance of having their own. We're in 2025, and that developer, we're in 2025 with nothing to show. On that night in the McKnight Community Center, they lacked details on one crucial matter. So I asked, does the developer have a record for such large-scale projects of 2,400 homes? Jeffrey, do so. Because I catch him. There was no record of a previous success by the developer. Yet, this government chose him over our local proven contractors because our contractors don't have an accent. So they decided they're going to go with an option that has never done it. And at the end of the day, the option with the accent said, well, the house, them don't matter. I going to take the money you would have never given to your local contractors and leave. Now tell me how the AG Lime crossed the line. How the AG Lime crossed the line. And he take other things very serious. But nonetheless, we know that East Coast housing failed, and have we considered what has become of those who invested their hopes in the opportunity of having their own, who would have taken the little resources they had and put it all into this empty promise. Some cried about it, but it was their sacrifice because they want their kids to have their own rooms now. They want to have a property that they feel safe in now, and Labour failed them. So now they don't have a chance at 2,400 homes. They don't have a chance at 600 homes. With going on 4 years, thousands of constituents might be among the 10 homeowners. Nobody votes for that. At the large-scale land grabs by the SSD, and you could see, if you don't have, you're not getting. And if you don't get, you ain't getting no more with Labour. But there's some good news. The good news is the power still rests with the people. You can stop the madness. You can save St. Kitts and Nevis from this wicked bunch. But you have to vote PLP. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lawrence, for that spirited presentation. And just a taste he gave you, okay? But anyhow, it is my pleasure to invite to the podium Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris to bring you his address, following which we will then be in a position to engage you, members of the media, in person with us this afternoon, and those who are in the habit or have no other alternative today than to send in their questions virtually. Dr. Harris?
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. I want to welcome all who are here in person experiencing another of our press conference. And in particular, I bid special welcome to the excellencies in our presence, in particular, Ambassador, His Excellency, Ambassador Osborne, Sidney Osborne, my former principal, and former Deputy Prime Minister, His Excellency, Mr. Michael Oliver Powell, to all members of our executives, and all the new faces who have come out today, I want to say thank you. We know you had other places you could have gone, yet you chose to come here, because here is where the action is, and here is where the future starts with the People's Labour Party. So welcome again to everyone, whether you are here in person or virtually, and I thank you for tuning in to hear about our country and the issues which are on people's mind. The press conference today is a reflection of the People's Labour Party's determination to ensure that the key principles of our democracy, transparency, honesty, public service, and accountability to the people are respected, indeed defended and promoted. If we don't exercise these principles, our democracy dies. That is why it's important for every one of us to speak out, whether at home, in the shop, on the road, in the church. Speak out, defend your rights, and speak out for our country to get on a better track. Of course, we know that this view is not shared by the July government. You know it, I know it, we know it. They act in secret. They avoid explanations for the things that they have done. And they tell us nothing, as if they are now held captive by elements from outside our country, as if they no longer work for us, for you and for me, which they are supposed to do, and they now work for someone else, as if they are avoiding us because they know they are failing us, and they realize that we know that they cannot look us straight in the eye, and you can't do that. Things are now so bad that we need to send up an emergency flare. When ships are in trouble, they would transmit the initials SOS, save our souls, to anyone and everyone in the hope of being rescued. Today, we too in St. Kitts have been forced to signal SOS, although in our case, it is Save Our St. Kitts and Nevis. And in our case, we can only act to save ourselves, because the ship of state, our country, is like this sinking ship, and every measure imaginable. Before I speak about the SSZ, which our chair for number 1 spent some time on, I want us to consider the government's record. Because the next time the people will have a chance to vote for a government, it is fast approaching. You see them attempting to get busy? They have ruined our economy, which means that they have ruined our ability to earn a decent wage and to pay our bills. The IMF forecasts that in 2026, we will experience very low economic growth, just about 1%. This means that in 2026, we will have more young persons unable to find a job. Small businesses will continue to suffer, and they will get no help from this useless government. More businesses will either close or be put under heavy financial strain. This, of course, is in stark contrast to the economic situation under your Team Unity government led by Dr. Harris. Money was in high circulation. Money was in the pocket of the ordinary man and woman in every community. Businesses were flourishing. We were seeing our own brothers and sisters, neighbors, setting up new businesses, car rentals, shops. All kind of new enterprises were being helped and assisted. In fact, under my watch, the largest number of businesses were created in St. Kitts and Nevis, year in, year out. The poor and vulnerable had the pap. Some were on peace, and we had good social safety nets, including, of course, our roof repair program that assisted some 4,000 persons. Our people were experiencing better times. They were confident. You could see it in the way they step about in town and in the country. They were hopeful about their future. Not so now. Things are really bad. And everybody complaining, not just those in number 3 or number 2 or number 1. Everybody, all through the country, small business, large business, hairdressing, saloon, barber shop, everyone is complaining. Something bad is happening in the country. It is as if we are under a curse because you can't make any progress. And so we have to do something about it. We cannot continue with this useless government. We have to rescue our country by getting rid of this wicked regime. In their 4th year in government, they cannot point to anything of significance that has been accomplished, except for themselves. Some, like the Prime Minister, move out of his home in St. Peter's went into a gated community, immediately is a good word, and that house has an imputed value of about $25,000, 10,000 US roughly per month. It's an expensive house. So you add that to all his perks and perquisites of office. The house before was being used for the judge. When he became prime minister, he doesn't want a judge there. He wants to be there. He wants to be there. And his excuse was that the people of St. Peter's were harassing him and they begging too much. But he begged them for their votes. So what is wrong if they ask you for something that they need? And so we know that he's a selfish man and he's all about himself. In a sad way, he seems to get joy from squandering public monies, traveling to fulfill his vanity in luxury jets, and return empty-handed except for MOU, for a loan. Money, if he gets it, which he will spend off, and then we will have to repay. We know they are about themselves when in less than a year in office, they raised their salaries by 36%, and their daily financial allowances were also increased. These are selfish people. The same mind that said 36% for we, and they ain't work a full year yet. They said to the rest of the government employees, only 8 for you. 36 for them. 8 for you. Look at the gap. And their salary already up at the top. 36% on that. And 8 for you. And some who got 8 really still had to pay out 3 to get on the pension scheme. So in fact, you end up perhaps with just under 5% in real terms increase. It is all about them. The lived reality of those who elected this government to serve and uplift our people is one of poverty, deprivation, and financial distress. Everyone is feeling the squeeze. As some will say, Abba ain't better than Saba in these hard times. And someone reflected on the 5th of November, we would say hard times night. And they later say, since you're gone in every day like a hard time night, not just November 5th. This is what they have reduced us to. Parents cannot take care of their children as they would like. And in that they want to show off. They want their children to be well fed, go to school, look nice. Can't take care of their children as they like. The PAP that we introduced in 2018, which is intended to add to the disposable income of the ordinary people at the low end of the income earning ladder, was taken away. Just like that, without even giving people advance notice so they could try and make an adjustment. They could try and reorganize themselves. Suddenly, you just didn't get any pay. Nobody cared to tell you unless you went to ask. This is not how a government should treat its people. And that is one more reason why we must get rid of them. But they fooled the electorate into believing that instead of the $500 they were getting, they will get $1,500 monthly. They said, double was out of style when we said we will make it 1,000. They were going to triple the payment. How dare they come? Well, they haven't even come back to the people to explain that they cut the 500 in half to 250 and they threw off thousands of people from the program. That is why we have this situation now, where too many families are living in homes without electricity. Government cut them off. A basic service has been denied them by an uncaring and corrupt government. And while this government has been disconnecting the ordinary folks who just cannot pay as a result of the high cost of living and the consequential reduction in their disposable income, it allowed Christopher Harbour to run up electricity arrears of millions of dollars without consequences. As if this was not bad enough, the Jew administration forgave most of that indebtedness for Christopher Harbour while cutting off poor people's electricity. Bratcher must be turning in his grave. People are asking, what did this corruptible government secure for itself and the parasites around it by allowing Christopher Harbour to take millions out of the country without fully paying Skellig the millions that Christopher Harbour owed? And imagine when we were there and Christopher Harbour was playing this kind of foolish, worthless game. We cut him off. And we said, if you can't find the cash, you will have to give up some of that land. Because the land value will appreciate.
That's right.
And that is how we got 4 plots of land, well, Skellig, to settle that. Well, how come so soon after we left, Skellig run up again millions of dollars of indebtedness? And then we also hear that National Bank Group, Christopher Harbour owed them a lot of money. Social Security, Christopher Harbour owed them too. Imagine. SIDF, Christopher Harbour owed them too. Workers, Christopher Harbour owed them too. And when I was telling somebody about the indebtedness of Christopher Harbour to its workers via Social Security non-payment, the person said, well, Christopher Harbour alone from God. You understand? The example of the leaders must be there. Leadership requires that you walk the walk, that you show the people how they can make the journey. So God didn't pay, and he get off scot-free. Christopher Harbour didn't pay either, and he got off, as it were, you could say literally scot-free, because millions of dollars they owed Social Security. And then we heard the Prime Minister say that he had an arrangement where he got back about 25 million EC dollars from them out of the sale that he facilitated. Worse than not strange. It is really a gross betrayal of public trust and a denial of justice for we the ordinary folks, for whom they use the stiffest penalty. You can't pay Social Security, they want you to go to debtor's jail. How come they didn't put the principles of Christopher Harbour to the same test and the same standard? This wicked government has sold out our country and our people. Social Security, Skellig, National Bank Group. And when you ask your Lord, he's boasted that Christopher Harbour paid $25 million. Not strange. Not strange in the context that Christopher Harbour owed the National Bank Group over US $25 million. Imagine that. One entity, over $25 million. Multiply US by EC, you get over $67 million. And a leader come to us grinning away like a puppy show. You know, I struck this deal, he said, and I got 25 EC million to share up. What is wrong with that man? No sense of pride, no sense of patriotism, no sense of self-respect. Because a man owes one entity under government control and ownership, albeit the National Bank Groups. And when you look at the figures, they get about $5.5 million, and a man owes you $67 million. If it was a child who had negotiated that, you might have given them some licks. But this is a prime minister who took credit for it. A massive betrayal of public trust. The man owed over 60 million EC. And you take from that man 25 million, and that makes sense to him. Somebody have to get something that we are not told about. Because that can't be. Not even half. Not even 75%. In fact, you should have gotten all, because you allow him to sell the slips to get millions of dollars and to walk away to the state with our money. The man came in with little money. The man got a loan of 16 million US from the SIDF. 16 million US dollars from the SIDF. That is more than 25 million EC. How could this happen? How could this happen? And he believes that he has done something well. Coming with half the story. The man must pay up, and we need full disclosure in relation to that settlement. How much they paid against how much they owe. And we must ensure that the people get every cent that has been owed them. This sweetheart deal will not work. They were put on notice, you know. In the state from which Brother Darby came, there was a court matter involving him and other members of the company. And there was a case for oppression of the minority. The essence of it was that other stakeholders were complaining that he was creaming off the money, as it were, and they were being denied. It was a family member. You find I think it's word. These things cannot be condoned, and they can't be part of the way forward. Can't be, because it shows always this government is yielding to foreign interests. This government has no self-worth, is insecure, has no self-esteem, because how you could go and negotiate and sign off on these kind of absurd arrangements that benefit no one. The impression you are telling them is that, boy, you could try any trick in St. Kitts. There are no consequences for it. We don't want this kind of a government anymore. In our country, everyone knows jobs are scarce. A reflection that nothing much is happening in our country. The wheel's not turning. So many of our young people, Lord, sometimes it is a bit heartbreaking to hear them boast that they have 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and all those high numbers of subjects. And yet they can't get nothing to do. Can't help their mommy or their daddy buy something for the house. Can't get a job so they may contribute to the high price of electricity. While our young people cannot get a decent paying job, the ministers of government, these lazy, incompetent ministers, are being overpaid, and all of them are underperforming. Dr. Jew is the worst performer of all of it. All the ministries he has, they are in problem. The lady chairperson spoke about the situation in health. Calamitous. You heard the report from the PS himself about the state of affairs in the health sector over which he is presiding. He spoke to misdiagnoses. People are dying. People are dying at JNF. And every time someone goes there for you, you feel scared that the systems are not working. The pressure is placed on our nurses. They are overworked and stressed out, doing their best. But the system is not working that allows them to perform as best they can. Right here we have an example of it. Constituent of mine went to them and literally they said, go back. Young man had a stroke. Go drink a cup of tea. You understand? Within hours of going home, the gentleman reached back to the JNF in a worse condition than he went. I thank God that his life has been spared. And though not perfect, my good friend Steve is here. We have to rid the country, rescue our country from the situation in which we are now in. Yes, every sector. What about the public service? There is no justice there. Different rules for different people. Institutions like the Office of the Ombudsman have no success in bringing about justice for those who have sought its service. In fact, if you listen to the government officials, you understand that the government neither respects the office holder nor the office, and equally disregards the recommendations of the Labor Department. Where do you go to get justice here in St. Kitts and Nevis when the institutions that ought to be there are no longer functioning? The Public Service Commission cannot even be relied upon to do justice to the public servants. The government's own corruptible apparatus overwhelms the functionaries, and they recoil to the political whims and pressure. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of persons who were put forward for appointment and confirmation before government change. When they got in, they put a hold on all those appointments. Held back people picking and choosing on the basis of politics whose recommendation they they will allow to go forward. They have brought chaos in the public service. Excellent workers have no appetite to go to work because it is not worth it when you know that the system is working against you rather than working with you. They have undermined the civil service. They have breached the Procurement Act. And everywhere there's an absence of justice. A PLP government will have to prioritize the agenda of justice for all again. We have to prioritize it. All those people who they have hurt, they have to get a justice. And we will think through how that justice will be delivered. But there can be no real democracy unless there is a system that allows quick access to justice. One person asked me, and I ask you now on their behalf, is it too much to ask for a government that is on the people's side? And I said to the person, no, it is not. The PLP has always been and will continue to be on the people's side. That is why when there was need, we addressed it. That is why we introduced the roofing program. That is why we brought in PAP. That is why we brought in the alternative lifestyle program, the peace program. We have always been on the people's side. And when they shortchanged the former sugar workers $16 million within our first year in government, we got $16 million. And we made it available to the former sugar workers. What in year 4 can they talk about? Water situation is worse. And they had a song and dance about it before the election. Worse. Areas that didn't have water problem now have water problems. The renewable energy program that they left behind, which would have taken us to the forefront of renewable energy in the OECS and in the Caribbean. We'd have had the largest renewable energy plant in St. Kitts, powering our electricity supply. The electricity outages that we are having so often, mashing up our appliances, and we have no recourse to justice. That would have become a thing of the past. Yes, we have to do this for ourselves. We have to help ourselves by getting rid of the July government. Agriculture is a sector in crisis, regrettably. All the talk, Samuel talk, and the pictures here take in mean a thing. The farmers are suffering. Spoilage, roads not ready, agricultural feed unavailable. No slips. And you know, you have perhaps for the first time we have seen farmers with regularity demonstrating about their condition. I want us to give a round of applause to the farmers. They are taking a stand, and all of us must stand up for our rights. All of us must demand justice, and we must take a stand for ourselves. Whether it is 3 of us or 2 of us, we must take the stand and protest and make our voices heard loud and clear. If we don't do that, they will continue to trample upon us. And today a farmer came to me and said, you all have a press conference, I want you to say this. I said, say what? I can't just say anything just so. He said, I want you to know that they have told us that they are going to stop bringing in these feed and so on up at the agriculture. They are going to privatize it. They are going to get somebody else to bring in these animal feed. Well, let me see who they give. But they were going to give them. And the price they want them will go up. Will go up. We have walked that road before where TDC used to be selling agricultural seeds and other things. My father was a farmer, among other things. I used to go get my cabbage seed, my this seed, and all of that from them. And after a while, these private entities, they couldn't bother with it. And agriculture had to be the entity that was basically bringing in to ensure regularity of these things. Are they going backwards to that? How will that improve the situation other than to force the farmers and fishers to spend more money which they don't have? So we will see. They are taking people off the STEP program and saying that some of the private sector employers must pay. Well, they ain't got no fixed rule. Some they're telling 40%, some they're telling 60% if they ain't like you. Because they haven't come to the public with it, you know. So there's no transparency. There's no record so that when you go, you can say no. The announcement said it's supposed to be 20%. And now you're telling me I have to be paying this amount of money. Go back and check. That system allows for corruption. The secrecy, the lack of transparency allows for corruption, which we have had enough under this government. And so we have to do a radical rescue of the subsectors of agriculture and fisheries and allow our farmers a fair chance, a real chance of making money here. And we have to be prepared to go even further to ensure that when certain crops are in season, the importation of them will be slowed one way or the other so that our farmers can thrive. Somebody has to look out for our people. Somebody has to be bold enough. And PLP will, and you will, look out for them. We are for the people. Tourism is yet to reach the marquee status of the pre-COVID years. When last you hear them talk about 1 million cruise passengers coming to St. Kitts. They ain't got that number yet, or they would get it out with a photo op. The hotels cannot renovate, we are told, without government handout. Now, this is very hurtful, you know, because there are some hypocrites like to talk about ordinary people getting handouts. But when the big shots and them getting handout, they ain't talking. When Christopher Harbour owes one entity $25 million and pays back 25 EC, that is a big, big handout. We must condemn those if we really believe in what we are saying. So there's a lot of work to be done. This government just have the country in a spin. You don't know if our country coming or going, but it looks like it is being made to disappear. It is going away from us. The things that they are doing, they are not for us, they are for other people and for them to get their kickback. This is a kickback government. This is what it's about. The CBI, well, talking about the hotels. The other day I was reading through my audit report, and I was surprised that the office of the Prime Minister made available close to $20 million. You hear me? Close to $20 million, I round it off, to a hotel in Frigate Bay. And you ain't know, hidden away, who gives him that authority to make such a substantial loan to an entity, and there's no thing come before the parliament about that. Near 20, that's why they ain't got no money and you can't see where the money gone. That's how they end up in 2024 overspending when you compute all the revenues they got from all sources, including grants. They overspend by over $300 million and you can't see a thing. The potholes are everywhere in every constituency. The pavilion in Tabernacle left undone for over 3 years. There is a stinking drain in Tabernacle and it took them near 3 years to attend to it. And they're saying it's not in the budget. Well, no, $18 million for any hotel was in the budget. And they get it. And the auditor, the director of audit, identified it. It's so we get to know. These kind of things can't be right. And you, the small businesses, choking, suffering, can't get $1 from them, can't get nothing out of the development bank, yet 18 million given. And nobody said anything to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And you ask yourself, if things were so good, how come a hotel couldn't go to the bank, go by Crossman? For Crossman was at SIDF when Buddy Darby and them got their money. Go to him and ask him to give them a loan. Not to take that from the coffers of the government. That is problematic. That is a new precedent in fiscal management. Not when we have all this suffering in our country. Not when people's shops have to be closed down. Not when you go in some of the shops, you could see the hardship. The fridge ain't full. The fridge empty. Shelves empty. Those are telltale signs that the dance can't pay for the lights. And in the face of that, look who they are for. A hotelier. Hotelier gets nigh $20 million. Even if they're taking 10 and give it to the bank and say, make these available for small people, the hairdresser, the lady getting involved in all the aspects of beauty of the body and the physical being, the young man who want to get a bus to ply a trade. He should have been able to benefit if there was $18+ million available to lend. You can't take all and give that to one entity while your people are suffering. How do they explain that? And they come to tell us that tourism is booming. Booming where? When the hoteliers are saying they can't renovate, they can't expand without a loan. And he said he tells them to go put on your jacket and go to Crossman at the bank. Government money is being used to do that. And importantly, they never tell us about it.
So they plan to write it off.
You're right. Because you see, some of these people, they are controlling the joker in office. They are controlling. They have him. They are the puppet master. But how else would you explain that these things could be happening in our country? Our government could just take up hard-earned money, pressuring you to pay Social Security. When a man owes millions, you can't even know a 1% of that. Nothing to the man. In fact, they forgive the man the indebtedness. And then Social Security have the heart to be harassing young and small entrepreneurs. We need justice for all. In terms of the economy, they had a song and dance about the CBI program. They said we had an over-reliance on it. Over-reliance on it. So they mash it up because of politics. And now them a ball. And it's that they want to do everything. I went on their website, and everything now is to be funded by the CBI. The Bastia High School, which we were financing from revenue, that is now to be funded under the CBI program. And they have a contracted with an entity with no roots in St. Kitts to deliver on that particular project. The government is not for us. They say they want to renovate Robert L. Battery Airport. They're going to look for the CBI with another unknown entity, which they set up, as it were, just to do this project. The government is not for us. We have to wake up and get rid of this government. It's become useless, willful, and deliberate. And you have to be intentional about getting rid of this government. You hear Samuel talking about a prime creative arts center. That they're going to rely on the CBI that they have weakened to do that. What is over-reliance than this? They gave a foreign entity, look who is benefiting. They gave them a guarantee, $27 million to build homes. But imagine, they were to build 2,400 homes, the largest in history. I think there was a quote of about $600 million to do such a program. And somebody in cabinet had a friend who know a friend in Trinidad. And they bought the Trinidad man. And the man outsmart them. The man said, I'm going to build some nice house. I'm going to put in all the furniture in it. You will get your fridge, you will get your tile, you will get your stove, you will get this and all of that. $27 million. And now they build 2 houses. Where the money gone? Where the money gone? And now they find themselves in problem. The stone that the builder rejected, the local contractors who could build more than 2 at a lower cost than $27 million, they're now begging them to come and sign up. We must never take the job, but never forget that when you had an opportunity to earn, they chose an entity out of Trinidad. And when they messed up, they are now calling on you to deal with that. The other area I want to very quickly deal with is this problem of the land. Land, which is critically important. And our party, the PLP, is committed to building back St. Kitts and Nevis bigger and better and stronger. We are committed to a just society We believe that our people deserve a piece of the rock, and in this regard, all persons who have been frustrated in getting access to lands allocated to them under team unity will have their matters resolved in the first 100 days of a PLP government. And we will go further in the interest of justice. Because, people are going up there like a puppy show. Come back, come back. And when you got some excuse, which is really a lie, oh, somebody else have the lot. The duties on the government having sent you a letter to ensure your matter is resolved to your mutual satisfaction. You're not supposed to be taking time off from work today, go back next week, and when you go, they're not even there to receive you. So we will find meaningful ways of compensating these people for the inconvenience, the time loss, and the opportunity foregone as the political misfits and incompetence at the Ministry of Sustainable Development play politics with the distribution of government land. PLP will have a program for restorative justice. Justice. I know persons who got land approved, already had their giants, land surveyed by the government chief surveyor, who should know where the lands are, who has every land development. When you go to a private surveyor, they have to go to the government chief to get the layout. So how are you going to have duplication there? They are lying. Lying. Some people were literally ready to start building, and they held them up. They stopped them from paying for over 3 years. And now they come in because election around the corner and say, we are going to sort you out. Yes, we have a program that will put our young people to work, support them in their efforts to make something good of themselves. We will offer them an education that readies them for real work, a curriculum strong on skills enhancement. Skills are what our people need. Positive attitude towards work and living. And our education system will be more futuristic in its appeal and orientation. Yes, the dreams of the young can become their reality with the right incentives and support. Better must come to St. Kitts and Nevis. Better must come. And we can build like no other can build. We did it before, and we will do it again. To get this better, encourage a friend, encourage a family member to vote for the People's Labour Party. Finally, with respect to the special sustainable zone, that is a betrayal of the worst kind. But again, it reflects the pattern that the government bows to foreign interests once they believe they have money. These are insecure leaders. So these people with their fanciful ideas about what freedom means, fanciful ideas that you could have a world without government, maybe they can, but you need a responsible government to protect you in your country. When private people in St. Kitts were selling out their land, threatening the future of our sugar industry, Butcher said that won't hold up. Butcher went to the parliament in the 1970s, nationalized all the lands, and changed the course of history forever and ever. Butcher did that. And because he did that, today the ordinary sons and daughters could now get a plot of land. Power of home ownership. So when people say that boy is private land, they could do something about it. When the future of the country can be compromised by the actions of private people, it is the power of the state to intervene. Tell them don't come with that. A man in his house battering the woman. What you are going to say? Well, it's in their house. It's a private property. The police have the powers to intervene and make peace. The future of the country stands a chance of being compromised. A responsible government use all in its power to prevent it. And one thing we have to be careful of. There's a lot of people with different colors to us. And they believe because their skin lighter, we're less than them. It is true. We may not want to accept it, but it is true. And we have to be careful they come with their attitudes, believing us to be less than them. They come with no respect to our government leaders because they are holding them captive. And these people come in, and you ask yourself, why they want come in our country? To do in our country what they can't do in their own. It is so good. It is so good. But no country has taken them on. The country in which they are born will not accept what they want to do. It reminds me of Jim Jones. Found in Guyana, people who were not paying attention. And when we heard the news in St. Kitts, was a big scandal in Guyana. The man went there, by the time you catch on, it was a cult. They had changed. And was it hundreds of persons got their death? We have to be careful when they come dangling trinkets for us. We have to, our mind have to go back to our four people way in Africa when we couldn't understand how did they sell the slaves. History, if we don't remember it, we are going to have to live it again. And so we have to be very careful when people come into our country and they tell us they want to create their own state. They don't want your laws to apply. And if you have any problem, we don't even want to bother with your courts. Let's go to international arbitration. Well, they have money to pay them kind of court. They're not you and I. It is not about us. It is for themselves. And look at it now. This idea has been going on about largely a state without a government. But who in charge? Who in charge? They will do all the things that the government should do. They will have their police. They will have this. They will do that. And you will sign up. And you would have a duty and an obligation to them. But they ain't got no obligation to nobody. Because we are third world countries, they could come with those ideas and believe those ideas could live in our minds for long. No, it will not. And so we say very clearly, we are not in support of the sustainable, special, sustainable zone. In fact, it is a special exclusionary zone because they want to exclude us. They want, when we go, we have to say, who are you going to? Could I get a name? Who you don't remember who live up there? sorry, you have to turn around with the damn forwardness. That is what they want to do to us in our own country. Christopher Harbour wanted that, and I had to put Buddy Darby in his place. He told me that we should allow him down by the tunnel, roundabout there to come up the highway. He wanted to put, what he call it? Not a tree. A welcoming center, he called it. Code name for a gate. So welcoming center, what do you mean by that? Just to put it across. So that when people come, somebody will assist them with the forwardness. We went through that fight for our beaches before. We went through that fight for land ownership. Gone are the days when our great-grandparents had to go to a master on the estate and ask as a favor if they could get a plot of land for housing or even to farm. We passed that. And we will not allow that state to return here. That is not our destiny. It may be theirs. It may be Jews' destiny, but it's not our destiny. And I want to thank all the scores of people who have come out and spoken out boldly about it. Some of them I didn't know that they were still around. But this matter, when they situate, they recognize it is not good. Or you think when Christopher Harbour came and he fooled Douglas, he promised he will have 3 hotels up there. How many? It has 1, and that hotel nearly almost did not come. He was undermining it to extract more, and we intervened. He had arguments at the hotel. He will not give permission. You see, when they got them powers, I will not give permission because that's not white. Well, I wear glasses, and I went over there, and it looked white to me. So I said, what you mean? He said, it is off-white. Me ask. You understand? That's what I say to him. For me, it's white. Off-white is a white. A shade of white. So I couldn't believe. A man called me over there to say he wanted to show me the problem with Park Hyatt. And he wanted to stop a project because it is off-white. That's not the white he wants. And he had an argument about Wendy, you're bright, you don't remember, about the shingles. Remember about the shingles. So I said, Darby, you're making joke with these things, I don't care what shade of white it is. This hotel has to be completed for hundreds of people to get work. And this argument about shingles, I really don't know the difference between them. I want this hotel finished. And if you don't allow the people to go on, there are a lot of breaches in this contract. We are going to use them to get you out of this because you're becoming a stumbling block to progress in our country. You have to be strong with these people because they have a perception of us, We have to be careful with them. So people like Daniel Otterton, Daly, Charles Wilkin, Misal, Astafan, Gaskell, Sam Kanda, and countless others basically came out because the conscience would not allow them to see this thing go through. Let's give them a round of applause. They're on the right side on this occasion. And we want also to thank some of the media, the social media platforms, Times Caribbean, what's happening in St. Kitts and Nevis, and several others like Obi, and all those other persons who remain steadfast in bringing truth to our people so that we do not regret that in giving our support, we end up becoming second-class citizens in our country. This government is supporting it. That's why we have to get rid of this government. This government has been bought by those people. This government has become too compromised to protect the national interests and to protect its people. See how they're treating Reggie? They got a plan. And people were saying it's a Nigerian. I know here is one of them zone man. Is to get Reggie place. We have to be very careful with this government. We do not know. Remember Dr. Drew said, don't ask me about the SSH bill. I don't want to get in Nevis business, but it's he who brought the bill. He moved it. He wrapped it up. And you know what happened? True to farm. He never read it. Somebody just give him the notes and he read them in Parliament. Lazy. The work is too much for him. And he promoted the bill without having gone through the details. And now people are up. They want to do, in the last shower rain, what they should have done before. They want now to consult when they don't pass it. And we say we are not satisfied with that. This thing has to be repealed. Repeal. Repeal. So that our people could have a confidence. Not with no patchwork. Not with no tweaking. We want the bill, before it comes back to Parliament, to be circulated wide and far. You see, when God told the lie and the Bar Association, they're like a liar. Nothing could be worse. Understand? He's a former high official of the Bar Association. He lied on them, just as he lied on Ian Patridge. He said they never asked him for the bill. They never send in any responses. He boasted about 83 bits of legislation had come, and that bar basically was asleep. Well, he wake up the bar. The bar now open like a bar. And the bar say, man, you're lying. And they name a number of the pieces of legislation that they had given their input on. In another country, given that factual matrix, the agency, the AG, if he had any sense of decency, would have resigned. Should have resigned. He should have resigned before, when he tried to shut down Patch's show and lied that he had broken the law in relation to Social Security. Not once, not twice, but about 20 times. 20 times. And I heard the King Council saying, you know, this matter is a criminal matter and Social Security could pursue it. And the man gets so arrogant, forced Patches show off the program one night, knowing he did the act of which he was accused. If he had shame, if he had integrity, he would have stepped down. But they don't have any shame. But they want to condemn others. And they're not picking the beam out of their eyes. In conclusion, the ship of state in St. Kitts and Nevis is sinking. And the ship's captain is not just asleep at the wheel, which would be bad enough, but Drew is hiding in his cabin, refusing to see the disaster that he has steered us into. So it's up to us. Somebody there very bright. They preempt me. They say it's up to us. It is up to you. It is up to me. It's up to us to go on the airways and talk about it and convince others that this government has to go. Yes, it is up to us. To the people everywhere, in St. Peter's, in Canary, in Keon, in Atlas, all the way down and all around St. Kitts and Nevis. We have to commit that we have to save our beloved St. Kitts and Nevis. We must save our St. Kitts and Nevis from this government, their massive failures, their corruption, their incompetence, and their exclusionary zone. I know that you and we deserve better. I know that I will not want to be a second-class citizen in this, the land of my birth. I wouldn't want that. And we are saying that our future, if we do not stop this government now, will become one riddled with lies. Every time the Prime Minister opens his mouth, he tells a lie. He cannot help himself. It will be riddled with the hypocrisy of the government. And we will become poorer. So many businesses have had to close. They just can't make it on the Jew. So we must demand and expect better. I say only a PLP-led government can begin the resurrection of our economy. The economy is dead. That is why even in our communities, you go around, you see some shops, Lord, you ain't want to say nothing. But no Coke, no this, no milk. When you can get them, sir? Well, we're trying. Things are bad, and our heart bleeds, because there was once upon a time under the leadership of Dr. Harris when our shops were having business. When we didn't have to ask anybody for a drink because we had money in our pocket to buy our own drinks. We can get back there. We can restore again hope instead of despair. We can right the wrongs when together, once again, across the political divide, we build and build the St. Kitts and Nevis for all. When we vote for PLP, I promise you, I commit that everyone will get a fair opportunity. Everyone will get a fair chance. Justice for all will be the hallmark of a PLP-led government in the next government. Thank you very much for your confidence and for your support. Deeply appreciate your presence here.
Thank you very much, Dr. Harris. Could we have a round of applause for Dr. Harris? Now we have come to the point of our press conference where we entertain questions from the media. There is a microphone on the floor just over on my right. Those persons from the media who are here in person, who are interested in asking questions, if you can just queue in that direction. However, I must also add that at the last press conference, we had a deluge of questions, and we could not get to answer all of them. And there are two questions in particular, because some of those that would have been on the list still, I think in Dr. Harris's remarks, they came out. So in the interest of time, I am not going to be repetitive with those. But there were two questions that were sent in by a member of the public. And remember that PLP's press conferences are all inclusive. So it's not just questions from the media we entertain. We entertain questions from private citizens as well. And as such, we always announce the email address, which is plpcommunications@outlook.com for persons who have questions. The two questions from last month, if I can just go through them. One, PM Drew is living in a government-owned house. I think Dr. Harris dealt with some of this today. And yet he is drawing from the Treasury a housing allowance each month as part of his salary. Now that is a standard part for all government ministers, that you get a housing allowance staggered based on the hierarchy in the cabinet, of course. Dr. Harris, if the PLP forms the next government, can we get your commitment that the steps will be taken to recover all of the monies that were paid to Dr. Drew in terms of the housing allowance, given the fact that he was living at the taxpayer's expense? So that's one question. And the second question is, it has been stated by many persons who are in a position to know that Nigel Carty is operating from an office inside the government's IT center at the industrial site, and that office has links to the Electoral Office's voters list. It is further rumored that the current ministers of government are so unsure of being re-elected that they are plotting to bring in voting machines which can be manipulated to give a preset result. What steps will a PLP government take if the matter of Nigel Carty has turned out to be true? Remember, this is what somebody has suspected, okay? I am concerned because the former Attorney General in your administration, who happens to be the Honorable Vincent Byron, I recall that when Team Unity first won, there was evidence of an outside computer tampering happening, which affected the data at the Electoral Office, and we did not bring the matter to the natural conclusion of filing charges. So the second question is along those lines. So, Dr. Harris, I don't know if you want to tackle those, and then I can proceed to hearing the first set of questions from the in-person media reps. Turn on your mic.
Thanks. The first question in terms of the housing allowance. In the parliamentary review report, there's a section on it which deals with allowances. And it says in relation to the Governor General that she lives in a government-provided home. And as a result, no allowance should be paid to her. Mm-hmm. That is a principle they outline. I think before Dr. Drew, no prime minister, to my knowledge, had a government house. They lived in their private home and therefore was entitled to the housing allowance provided then to assist with the upkeep of their home. When you compare Dr. Drew's situation now, it is the same as Marcella. The house is government-owned. The upkeep of it is at government expense. It had been renovated, retrofitted, furniture is changed maybe at least 4 times, again at public expense, etc. I believe that the principle ought to be applied in this case, that the situation has changed. He is now in a circumstance similar to that of Marcella Liebert, and the committee then said that once you're in a house fully maintained and paid for by the government, you should not also, as it were, be double dipping. So that is what the report says. But importantly, it is now part of the laws, because remember, the report has to go to Parliament, and a resolution was put to the Parliament to adopt the report in whole. So therefore, they must have some conscience, man. They must have a conscience to do the right thing. And if you didn't remember and you didn't think about it, the fact that it is now a table talk, stop it, Dr. Drew, stop it. That would be my advice to him on that matter. The second matter in relation to Nigel Carty. Nigel Carty was found in a very compromised situation with respect to some other matters which involved the government of which he was a part. I remember at one point there was a whole question of him doing up minutes and assisting in things which really ought not to be in his purview. I think we should not want to have someone like Nigel Carty, a political hack, to have anything at all to do with our electoral office and system. For transparency, for the avoidance of the development of a bad faith and distrust for the integrity of the system as it now exists. if Nigel Carty has anything to do with the electoral office, we're going to have to be prepared to demonstrate. We're going to have to be prepared to carry our placards outside the electoral office, because fairness and democracy would be imperiled, in my judgment, based on what I've heard of him and I know of him. So those matters are not matters we are going to stand idle by and let anybody do anything out of order with the system. We already have enough persons there. We already have enough of them there. To add another person like Carty will be like adding, what they call it, gas or oil to the flames. We will not have that kind of challenge. We are challenged enough. And for the record, we have written not only to Mr. Peets, who is there, but also to Mr. Butler, who is in charge of the Electoral Commission. I think it's called Identify a Number of Concerns.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Harris. Now, before I resume and allow the local media to ask their questions, I would just like to acknowledge a couple special persons in our audience here today, Ambassadors Osborne and also Powell. Thank you for joining us here today. We also have with us a number of our constituency chairs, including Marlon Brown from 3, Claudine Saunders from 8, Vikish Pickering, our new chair for constituency 2, Maurice Matthew from constituency 7. Thank you very much for being here. And hello, and Mandisia Masham from constituency 4. We also have other members of the executive here, including our Secretary Petrona Thomas, the Treasurer, Mr. Raul Maz, and of course our Deputy National Chair, Cheryl Reed Nisbet. Thank you very much. Now, and Curtis, I forgot, my apologies, Mr. Chapman. Okay. And yes, Annette Frank from constituency number 1. Okay, all right. Okay, my apologies. And of course, Gary Thompson. I think I saw him here earlier. I don't know if he left. Oh, okay. Now, I just wanted, before I invite Mr. Bat, I think, who stood up first, and it was you? Okay, my apologies. Based on how we ended the second question Dr. Harris answered, since it's a related question, I would like to stick that in so that we get that topic out of the way. And it is a question that came in that says, what has PLP put in place to counteract issues such as vote buying from the Labour Party? And what should we be saying to our people who need to be more sensible when it comes to those types of matters in terms of electoral interference, vote suppression, etc.? So I don't know if you want to just quickly answer that, and then we go to it, since it's related.
Very quickly, I would really want to believe our people have good common sense. And they recognize that the last time the Labour Party fooled them, promised them everything, the sun, the moon, and the rain, and they have not delivered. They cannot be trusted. You see, when you sell your vote, the representatives them come to believe what you want. I didn't pay you what you asked for. So why are you coming now to ask me for land? To ask me to fix your community center? To ask me to do something about the health center up at St. Peter's, which for 3+ years hasn't moved anyway. That's how they begin to think. We are done pay you. You did say this is what you want. You see how much suffering your vote has caused the entire country, and now even your ball. I believe that those people who voted Labour, they have woken up. They see how Labour punished them daily, how Labour took them off the pop, how they were thrown off the peace, how they talked down to them in office, people who wouldn't wear a shirt, but they wore. And those people now become the special ones. And they're hugging them off. I believe the people are working. Yes. And so I have faith in the people. I've always, as a politician, trusted the judgment of the people. But I believe in this election, Labour will not fold. The people will not allow themselves to be fooled again by the liars in the Labour Party. Only certain people getting looked after. And we are going to speak to some of them on another more occasion suited to that. So do not let them come promise you whether it is $500 or pay off this bill and all of these things. In this election, vote for your welfare and vote for the party that you know has done the greatest good for the largest number of persons in St. Kitts and Nevis. And if you were to do that, you know that you have to support the PLP candidates in every constituency.
Okay, thank you very much. I now invite DJ Rankin.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Russell Rankin, Sugar City FM. It's funny you mentioned and the question with the electoral office, because I'll start with that question. It is rumored that a snap election, is looming, and if that is the case, whereby that, as you mentioned, might be true, then maybe it's connected somehow. Will the PLP be ready for such if a snap election was to call? You mentioned the SSE a lot today, and you also stated that the PLP, if they were in government or if they take the government, they would repeal, such act as quick as possible. The question pertaining to that, as any consideration being given to tabling the motion in Parliament to repeal the SSE Act now, even while in opposition, right? And this next question, it appears, and this has to do with the Attorney General. You spoke a little briefly on it as well. It appears persons are not pleased with the conduct of the Attorney General, and as a result of that, it has been getting much attention, because I've been getting a lot of calls on it as well, raising serious questions about the integrity of the office. And if you were the Prime Minister today, how would you address the situation to restore public confidence in the office of the Attorney General? And I'll have another question. Now, we spoke briefly on this at another press conference a while back, pertaining to the Park Hyatt workers and the treatment that they're getting, the servers and the staff. It seems that matter did not get any attention from the Prime Minister or the Minister of Tourism. So I would just like either Ms. Phipps or Dr. Harris could address that. And I have a question. It's a question from somebody direct to Mr. Lawrence. As you mentioned, persons would send questions to the party, so they send it to me. So, Mr. Lawrence, your opponent and the representative presently has pictures, like a billboard saying "Keep St. Kitts clean." So the person pretty much wants to know what's your take on that. If it looks as though if like it's a kind of mini campaign type of mode that you think she's doing,
Yeah,
So
we notice.
I'm just passing on that question to you. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. I beg your pardon? Yes, we can do that, and then you can come forward. Okay, so there have been 5 questions put forward by DJ Rankin. I think I saw, did you submit some of them in writing ahead of time? Oh, because they mirror a couple of them that we have already received as emails. So I was just wondering. Okay, so the first one has to do with the Electoral Office, and that is a dovetail off of the last question that was put to Dr. Harris, whether or not there was electoral interference taking place relative to the data at the Electoral Office and the purported access that Nigel Carty may have. And this question, number 1, is that we have been hearing rumors of a snap election being possible. And if that is the case, how ready is PLP for a snap election? That's the first question. The second question is relative to the Special Sustainable Zone legislation, and that the PLP has promised to repeal this act upon taking office following a successful staging at the next general election. But nevertheless, the question is being asked, even in opposition, can it not be considered for tabling by putting a motion to the floor of the parliament to have it repealed even while you sit on the opposition bench? The next question is the conduct of the Attorney General in light of the viral posts that we have seen with the F-bombs and other expletives and so forth. And the fact that it is causing quite a bit of public outrage, rightly so, because of the fact that the Attorney General's office is supposed to be one of respect, given that the AG happens to be the government's chief legal advisor, and as such should know what the laws are as it relates to the abuse of technology for abusing other people, the spread of profanity, I think that's where you were going with this, and so forth. And the question then to Dr. Harris is, if you're successful in the next election, what are you prepared to do to restore the public's confidence in the office of the Attorney General? The fourth question is, as it relates to Park Hyatt and the well-publicized issue of the staff tips and service charge payments that they may be denied, given that I think persons who are in middle management are also beneficiaries of those tips, etc., when there is already such a wide divide between the higher end salaries of these middle and upper management persons compared to the lower end persons who are the ones providing the direct contact, customer service contact, which then is responsible for the generation of the tips. And you want to know what is our take on that, okay? And the last question is the observation that Marsha Henderson, the incumbent in constituency number 2 for the Labour Party, has been erecting billboards about cleanliness around several parts in St. Kitts. And it is now being questioned as to whether or not this is not some sort of soft advertising for drumming up a record because they're getting in election mode, so that it can be construed as an election billboard. So did I get those correct? Okay. So Dr. Harris, I don't know what order in which you want to take them.
Very quickly, in terms of the readiness of the PLP, I can say to you that at the last 2 meetings of the National Executive, we discussed matters surrounding candidate selection, and that matter basically is being worked on. So we have basically put ourselves in a certain mode for any eventuality. And we did say that it is an open process, so if there are persons who have an interest in becoming a candidate, they certainly are welcome to do so. We will identify an email and a phone number which they can use to submit certain information, because we want to be a party that really reflects the country, and we welcome all. We are concerned, yes, we are concerned that we have people willing and able and with the attitudinal disposition to serve people humbly and responsibly. The problem we have with the Attorney General is from day one. He was too high and mighty above others. He spoke down to people in his arrogance and condescension. And we don't like that, and we will not stand to it. Several persons came to me from, for example, the CIU, the office of the DPP, and they told me when that man came to speak to them, they lost all respect for this gentleman who carried the office. They said he was arrogant, insulting, disrespectful even to the heads of department in some of these institutions. And the way he paraded his power indicated to them that he was unfit to hold office. I think what we are seeing now is the demonstration of this, reflected in the fact that when he thinks no one is listening,
Everybody's listening.
he busts more F than in the alphabet. You understand? He has no integrity because you have to do the right thing all of the time, not when it is convenient to do so. So when he has a press conference, he wants to call down others. He took a song or a chorus and Stachio at one of the first press conferences. And he is no paragon of virtue. In fact, long ago, and we mentioned today the situation with Patrice, where he tried to use his power to shut down Patrice's program, and he failed. He failed because the evidence was against him. And he lied to the public by indicating that what Patrice was saying was untrue. Patrice's defense, in effect, was that it is true. And the court found in favor of Patrice. In a more, I would say, progressive democracy, the Attorney General would have resigned.
Exactly.
Would have resigned. And so we have a problem, and the AG is a big problem. Big problem. Thanks for helping me. And the person really who is our chief legal advisor has to always be mindful of the special responsibility. I am fortunate enough to have worked with several Attorney General, including one appointed by myself, Vincent Liebert. Byron, sorry. And before that, we had several others from Delano Bart, come all the way up, Merchant and so on. And one of the things I appreciated was that Delano always, when matters that were sensitive and political came to cabinet, always said, listen, I could give you all the facts and my views. The politics will be up to you all to decide. I remember that other Attorney General appreciated that they were the Attorney General for the public. For the public. You understand? Providing advice to the government, and in his case, as a public servant, because he's a non-elected member, and that he had to be mindful of that. Leave the politics for others, deal with the strictness of law. The Attorney General, in my view, is found wanting in these basic principles that lead to a good, competent Attorney General. Nobody will respect him. Nobody would. He cannot command the moral high ground anymore, and in that case, he should really resign the office. There is what we call the Integrity of Public Life Act, and in it there is a code of conduct for all public officials, including the Attorney General. I am of the considered view that the Attorney General is in breach of the Code of Conduct. That kind of behavior, threatening behavior, the arrogance, you could hear the wickedness screeching in his voice. That kind of behavior is unacceptable for any public official, and we therefore cannot condone it. And you see a series of patterns from Patrice, the arrogance, the sense that he's above the law. Where'd you doing? Where'd you doing? Cross the line. In my view, he has crossed the line of decency and proper behavior, and he should read the Code of Conduct and govern himself accordingly, because the public, fair-minded public, would have lost all respect and confidence in the AG. So he's now a damaged good. It's a damaged good, and the rest is left to him. Quickly, in relation to, I think it's a tip matter raised, was it the tips, at the hotel. I'll prefer not to identify a particular hotel, because what I say must have general application, and I believe there are other such facilities where employees have a problem and concern about how the tip is shared. What needed to happen was for the government, Marsha Henderson,
Minister of
and
Labor.
the Minister of Labor. She is tourism. We are talking hotels. Subject matter under her. I think she's also the Minister of Labor. So the two critical portfolio that should be taking the lead in solving this problem, they are with Marsha Henderson. And I don't understand, and I hear people complain about it, and up to yet she has not had a serious meeting with the parties affected to get better seize of the issue, the challenges, etc. She needs to do the job for which she is paid. And they need to stay home more. Stop going on the jet flying when they are important matter affecting people, everyday life. This matter could blow up and become a problem for the hotel itself in terms of its reputation, because every worthy entity would want to know that they respect employees' rights. A resolution needs to come. We are listening to it. Our own committee will be looking at how do we move forward in terms of legislation, if necessary, to deal with these situations, so there can be some sense of certainty to the employer class and to the employees what their just entitlements are. I would urge Marsha, in the interest of time, because we are now getting into the Christmas and then the winter season, the busiest part of the tourism, and to have this matter still alive. And it has been brewing for a very long time. Persons have had to quit their work over there because Marsha would not step in, would not do the right thing to ensure that this matter is resolved in a timely manner. They have to do their work for which they have been paid, and for which they got 36% increase even before they had completed a year to get an annual assessment. So I think that's it. The tip matter, let the minister do her work, but we have to, and as a policy, we will develop policy prescriptions basically to deal with these matters when we get back in, and to bring certainty to the situation of tips, how it is paid, who are entitled. So we will have consultation, not just with workers, but also the employer class to hear their perspective. With respect to the motion, yes, a motion could always be brought, except that we know that the government side and the government backbenchers and the opposition, that is the CCM team, will not support justice, because they are the one who have brought this fiasco on our country. And therefore, it is unlikely to get the legislative support, but that should not deny it. Persons who are serious to exhaust all means possible, including the Parliament and including the court. Because justice must prevail. Justice must prevail in this our land. And we must be prepared to take any risk, any course of action to preserve the rights and freedom of the generations to come. We, if it means a sacrifice that we have to make, we must make that sacrifice so our children and grandchildren can have a better way of life than we have.
Can I ask, now that you've finished answering the 4 out of the 5 questions, if I could get a comment from Damian Lawrence relative to the 5th question in terms of the billboards that have been erected by Marsha Henderson?
Well, I would consider the work taking place something we inspired in Central. Cleaning Central is nothing we'll ever be problematic about. But the motives aren't fooling anyone. The timing and the fact that the most dominant image on each poster is the image of the minister points to, especially when it comes after talk of a snap election, it seems like that snapped her into action. My branch started cleanup work in Central in last November. We continue those into 2026. At our first cleanup, into 2025, thank you. Our first cleanup, a public challenge was made to the government to get on board. And now at the tail end of a year, with talks of a snap election, Central needs to be cleaned up. It's disappointing that it took too long. But it also lines up with a pattern I've observed with them. Anything I do, they try to do. Exactly. We started the cleanups last year, but we also made an attempt to do some restoration work at the Garden Sporting Complex. In following process, we emailed the Director of Sports about having permission to do it. And he emailed me a beautiful letter saying, they have a comprehensive plan for January of 2025. Nothing changed. But in March of 2025, the minister and the Department of Sports were at the sporting complex taking measurements for another comprehensive development plan for that space. We're in November and nothing has changed. So all of the activity that's being done now is welcome. I love to see Central taken care of, but the motive is obvious. They're after something to serve themselves, not the community. So we'll take the gifts, but we'll vote with this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lawrence. Enough said. Okay, I now invite Mr. Glenville Bart to present his questions.
Good evening, Glenn Bart, SKN Newsline. I want to direct this question to the leader of PLP, Dr. Harris. Dr. Harris, you have said highlighted a number of issues this evening, and I want to also place my question in the context that in Parliament you have been accused of coming in to sign your name and leaving. These kinds of issues that you have raised this afternoon, I think one of the strategies, I suppose, would be to ask the government benchers to explain some of the issues that you have raised. So my question to you on this matter is, are you prepared to use parliamentary rules and regulations to accomplish that task. Because it's going to be a battle, as you said, against the government. But you are in a position that you are an elected representative of a number of people within your constituency. That's one. I wanted you to talk about also the Sustainable Island State agenda, because some programs, some policies of one government, because of their national component, the national context in which certain policies are developed, will struggle whatever political party comes into power afterwards. And I believe this Sustainable Island State agenda is one of those things. My question, therefore, are you in support of this CISA, as they call it? And if you were to win the elections, are you prepared to continue along the concept of development based on the Sustainable Island State agenda and the pillars that they have purported? I have also a question to you with regards to Christopher Harper, because you have been Prime Minister for a number of years, and Christopher Harper was on a certain trajectory. Along came COVID-19, and they have basically fallen apart. But based on your, I mean, we know all the other stories about the money is borrowed and all that kind of stuff, but based on your inside information, your own experiences during your period of time, and what has transpired since, do you believe that Christopher Harper, under the management of Buddy Darby, has the capability and the capacity to revitalize itself and become something close to what it was intended? And lastly, with regards to the special sustainability zones. Now, again, you've been accused of not being there when this matter was discussed in Parliament. But also, there is the context in which recently the Bar Association has come out and said they have certain concerns about this particular piece of legislation. What exactly, from your perspective, wrong with this legislation as it is? That's one part. And in relation to the Destiny project on Nevis, proposed development project on Nevis, what foundational evidence do you have to oppose that particular project? Now, there are a lot of things being said about the parties involved. The Prime Minister and the Premier have both denied, for example, that within the proposed development, there would be any such thing as a state within a state. I don't know if you know otherwise, or you have evidence to support your beliefs. Can you comment on those, please? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Batt. And if I can recap quickly, in the interest of time, there were four questions posed, sorry. One is that the persons in the public and the Parliament, I would imagine, have accused Dr. Harris of coming into Parliament, signing his name and leaving. However, are you prepared to use your parliamentary position to bring to the fore, from the floor of the Parliament, the issues, the problems confronting the country, such as the ones that you have identified in this press conference? The second one has to do with the Sustainable Island State agenda that has been started by the current Jew administration, and there is a query as to whether or not, if you win the next election, will you be in a position to continue? Could we have your attention, please? Could we be in a position to continue with this project along the lines of the pillars on which it has been built? the whole issue of sustainability, etc. The third question is the Christopher Harbour project as it relates to its mismanagement, which is evident to everyone. And basically, Mr. Bart is asking, do you think that the management of Christopher Harbour has the ability to revitalize the project and get it back on track, albeit it has been a number of years since when these delays and failure to deliver have been documented over time? And the last thing has to do with the SSZ Act, and bearing in mind that we have persons coming out against it and all of the potential negatives that it might embody. So therefore, Mr. Bart is asking, what is your fundamental problem with the project, the Destiny Type project, and what in particular are you opposed to, given the fact that both the Prime Minister and other members of his cabinet, plus the Premier and Nevis, are trying to paint the picture that there is nothing sinister in the legislation? Did I capture it properly? Okay. So those are the final questions for today. A number of the other questions that we have here that were put forward have been asked and answered in the course of this afternoon's discussion.
In relation to the Christopher Harbour, I have no confidence in the President management's ability to deliver on this program. It's almost 20 plus years since Christopher Harbour has been around. Christopher Harbour got what no other entity should have got, especially a foreign one. It came in, and Darby himself told me that he couldn't get any financial support. Somebody sent him to speak to Douglas, and he said he had dinner with Douglas. And that night over dinner, Dr. Douglas told him, you will get the support that you need. Over the table, over dinner. In fact, I am advised that prior to that meeting with Douglas, the SIDF board was disinclined to provide support for that particular project. They were therefore overruled. So when a man comes empty-handed into your country, take prime land, sets out a plan that would bring billions of dollars in your country, and after 20 years, does nothing of merit, how could you have confidence in such a person and the ability to deliver? 16 million US, that's about 43 million EC dollars, just so. And look where the project is after 20 years. He went to National Bank, got loans from the bank on very soft terms. And look where the project is. You have to go through the agreement, and it was somewhere in line. It sets out some of the deliverables. 3 hotels. I told you, if it was not a team unity government, Park Hyatt would not have happened. He had become a stumbling block to that for his own selfish and ulterior motive. So I have no confidence. If after 20 years, it is what it is there, only him. He has benefited in significant ways, especially by that sweetheart deal he had when he sold the slips, made millions of dollars, owed this country, and in particular state-owned entities like National Bank, National Trust, Social Security, and I suspect countless others in the private sector. And he basically got a forgiveness in relation to them, rather than pay off the full indebtedness. Well, if after all that money, have you seen anything new happening over there? No. So how could I, as a sensible person, have confidence in that which has not worked for 20 years? That would be, really an unacceptable position. So I have, and in fact, others before me has condemned the project. They pointed out fundamental breaches in its failure to deliver. You would recall that they had a big song and dance, that a world-class, for example, golf course was to build. 20 years after, nothing. So how could you have confidence in that while he's selling property? Some plots of land over there, over $1 million US for an acre. Over $1 million US. What do you have for it? And when that person ends up not paying Social Security, that is ordinary people's money, and benefit and pension he's interfering with, how could you have confidence in him continuing? So that would be my answer in terms of this here. He came in, he got what he should not have had. And it got to his head, and he believed that he's smarter than people here, because the government made him feel that way. So he's in my view, not a person for the future of St. Kitts and Nevis. You asked about the so-called CISA, you call it, Sustainable Island State Agenda. Well, Sustainable Island State Agenda is not a new thing. That has been around longer than 20 years, 30 years. Been talking about sustainability. You probably just got to know about it. So he hooked on to it.
Okay.
You heard any other government going around with this sustainable, discernible state? It's a new phraseology for him, because he had not kept up with the happenings. And so he locked on to it. But what is sustainable now about our country? The finances, the financial house that I left so strong, went through a COVID, country locked down for nigh 2020 and the better part of 2021. Spent over $300 million and left him nigh $688 million available to him. That's fiscal management. That's the legacy of fiscal management to which the IMF still speaks. The legacy of fiscal management that was there. That is sustainability, because that provided the wherewithal for us to keep our people in good standing beyond the danger of the COVID period. We had set aside funds for the rainy day. Our financial house was one of the best, not just in the Caribbean, but in the entire hemisphere, under Dr. Harris' watch as Prime Minister of the country. That is sustainability at work. When you begin to look at, for example, renewable energy, which is a big part of the discussion about sustainability.
Dr. Harris, for the benefit of the persons listening, yes, and for those who are present here, with your permission, I would read out the 7 pillars. And you can judge for yourself if you think they're new, because none of them are new concepts. Pillar number 1, food security. We're talking agriculture, growing your own food, stop relying on imports. The second one, green energy transition. We had a Electoral project that they killed. Number 3, economic diversification, which is on the agenda of every government that has ever taken office, going back to the days of Bratcher, since you could not put everything in the agriculture basket. Number 4, sustainable industries. Again, because you want industries that work well with the environment instead of against the environment. Number 5, the creative economy. Last time I checked, it was a team unity government that had the very first ministry earmarked as the Ministry of Entertainment and the creative sectors. So that is something we will continue. Then there is also post-COVID recovery. That is something we had always inbuilt in our long-range development plans, because it's not a matter of if there will be another pandemic, it's a matter of when. But how ready will we be when that time comes? And the last one has to do with social protection, which includes things like PAP, the peace program. Make sure that you have gender issues in place dealing with domestic violence, mothers and children not left open to the elements and the whims of and fancies of relationships gone bad where people get violent, or issues to do with rape, child rape, you name it. All of these things come under the big social protection umbrella. So these are the 7 pillars that is now such a wonderful thing, when in fact, as Dr. Harris had indicated, they have been there all along. And from the time St. Kitts and Nevis would have signed on to the successor goals of the United Nations, the Sustainable Development Goals, of which there are 17, all of these goals fall under various umbrellas within these 7 pillars. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. But the point, just by way of follow-up, is that that is not a new idea. Actions speak louder than words. And in all of those, we have actioned them while in government. We action the sustainability of our finances. We action our social safety net. We had one of the best. We had action our health care planning. You go back to my budget address in December 2022. December 2021 for the year 2022. So the budget is presented the year before. And in that, I think it probably could have been paragraph 54. We outline all that we were going to do in terms of the health care, bringing in all the specialists and all the MRI. That's why when he went in, he said he will come in 2 weeks. We are now going on the 4th year, and it can't come. You understand? It's just talk. So he can speak the words, but he can't do the job. He's not delivering, and that is where the problem is. The truth is, a rose called by another name, just as sweet. Still a rose, isn't it? Still a rose. So I'm not getting caught up in the hype of the name. Is what we had been doing. And what we had done was first class. St. Kitts was among the best performing economies. Even remember when we take over the CBI, it was down in the pits, in ICU. We had lost our visa rights, entitlements, or access to Canada. We had the U.S. Treasury, FinCEN, Office of Financial Crime, had sent out this advisory in May 2014. And we overcame all of those to bring a CBI program which was top of the line. It was on a sustainable path until these jokers came in without any understanding of it and how it works. They set out to destroy it, thinking they were destroying me, forgetting they were, as it were, killing the very thing that the country needed. Because sustainability requires that we have multiple pathways to pursue our development. Tourism, agriculture, CBI, entertainment, and so on. And in some of these, they will not all be at the same place at the same time. Trinidad, for example, for many years, had been really a petrochemical industry and been moving over time into tourism. So it is in relation to these things. So we got the answer to that in terms of the Parliament I would say it is the prerogative of every member of parliament to determine what position they will take in relation to what is happening. And the walkout of the parliament is a standard and acceptable measure in the Westminster model to showcase our strong disagreement with the mismanagement, the bias in the parliament, and the refusal of the speaker to bring order to the house. I don't have to stay to be part of any disorder. And I don't feel in any way, in fact, some of my constituents are here. Joan used to be at everyone. She said, she called me PM still. She said, PM, stop go to them foolishness they have in there. Nobody could learn anything. They won't allow you to talk. And you could go on and on. That is not a house in order. Just a couple weeks ago, the entire parliament in Trinidad walk out, same reason. If the speaker is not behaving properly, you must highlight it, and the walkout is part of it. I remember when we were in opposition from 2013, we took a decision that we would not participate because the legitimacy of the government then was questioned. So it is an acceptable modality available, and I and my constituents will determine how and when I will utilize it. That is how that one will go. So I think I have answered all of your questions. You asked about the SS said. Well, I agree with what Charles Wilkins said, didn't you? He's a lawyer. And he outlined the specific area of disagreement, of contention. You would have read the Bar Association release. It outlined similar areas and more with which he had contention. You would have heard all the groups that have spoken out, and every one of them had a point of merit. I have here in my hand a legal opinion on it. I have it. So I don't have to come and tell them who not listening, who figure they arrogate on themselves, they have all the wisdom, so they don't want to hear nobody else's view, and they made a mess. They made a mess. So they need to fix it. And we are saying that enough is out there for all of us to know what is wrong with it. Because the Father not going to come out to tell a lie, and the Son. And all those other people who came out to speak, I mentioned some of them. To all the political parties, so that it should be repealed. Similar reasons. So I think enough is out there for people to understand that the bill is a bad bill. Bad in law, bad in terms of the implication for the future of our people and country. And the long list, I can't go through all of them. You have enough of those reports, some of them you name. It's the same issues we are contending with that we find offensive as a party.
Yes.
And our chair for number one outlined some of them. So, and in my own speech on that, I say we are basically in solidarity now. All who have spoken have certain things that are fundamentally objectionable in relation to the bill. And this is where we stand in relation to it.
Okay, thank you very much for your responses, Dr. Harris. This brings us to the end of this press conference. I do thank you all for joining us here this evening, for the lively questions. It tells us that we have a media that is paying attention. And I thank persons like Mr. Bat and DJ Rankin who are prepared to ask the hard questions. Because if political parties are putting up themselves for election, they have to be in a position to answer these questions and to advocate for the persons whose votes they are seeking and whose votes they would have gotten, and the confidence with which they should have been elected in office to represent the interests of the common man in St. Kitts and Nevis. So thank you for the questions. Before I close, I wanted to join with others, since we are having this meeting in Constituency 3, and to join with everybody else who has already done so in terms of congratulating Constituency number 3's newest centenarian, Mr. Rupert Griffin. Okay? And we also extend birthday greetings to Miss Vera Samuel. Happy birthday to you. Do have a pleasant evening and get home safely.